Okay, so hi everyone. It's great to see you again. Welcome to the fifth coffee chat of the Web3JS ambassadors. Today we have the amazing DevRel Jinka from Flick. Full-time DevRel, part-time model. That's what I think. I don't know if that's true or not. So yeah, if you want, Jinka, feel free to just like introduce yourself a little bit. Um, and then after you introduce yourself, I will just like ask a lot of questions that we have from the ambassadors that we kind of gather during this week, but just informal questions, nothing like that you really need to prepare, just things about your life, about your career and things like that. So yeah, feel free to introduce yourself. Welcome.
All right, cool. Hello, everyone. My name is Yinka. At Genius Yinka on Twitter. I am a developer advocate currently at Fleek. The bulk of what I do at Fleek is to create technical guides, so written guides and videos as well. And then when I'm not doing that officially at Fleek, I am making explainer videos on Twitter, and I am making, simplifying technical concepts and materials as much as I possibly can, and just like making that available to devs and everyone who will be interested and curious about them. So that is like the core of it. Maybe I can go into a bit of background story as to how I got into like crypto Web3 type thing really briefly. I got in around 2020. I got my first cryptocurrency, Ethereum. I'm coming from a traditional Web2 developer background, like a full stack dev. So, pretty familiar with writing software or whatever. So when I pivoted into Web3, I wanted to like go into smart contract development, but that never really worked out as I kept getting opportunities that were focused on like community centered things. And I also figured that at the time, I didn't want to be completely technical. I also wanted to have some form of education around my career as someone getting into Web3. So that's sort of how I got into making YouTube videos, technical walkthroughs, and writing technical blogs, and just finding my way up until I worked with Rally Protocol team as a DevRel as well, and then Fleek as a DevRel, and then right now I'm just full time making technical content, really. So that's like a quick intro for everything so far.
Okay, amazing. Thank you so much, Jinka. Can you tell me a little bit of the timeline? Like when did you started learning, then when you got your first job, then when you joined Flick, and kind of like a little bit of the timing?
Yeah, for sure. So I did have Flick isn't my first Web3 based job. So my very first Web3 based role was a contract position to sort of lead a community of an NFT project. So this was back in, I think it was late 2020, early 21. I can't remember the exact number days for sure, but my first opportunity was to come in as a community guy. So this was during the NFT boom when it was pretty easy to, well, not easy, where there were a ton of NFT projects and they wanted to build NFT communities. So I I I I was able to get in touch with some of these folks, and I did a short-term one-week project with them, and they sort of liked how that turned out, and they wanted me to come on board for a much longer 3 months project. So that was where things really kicked off, right? It was about the same time I joined the developer DAO, which has also been very instrumental in a bunch of other opportunities, and just like the exposure that I have gotten with the network I've been able to build with the folks in the developer DAO. So my first role came in late 2020, early 21. I wrote that, so that was a contract position. And then at like, I think March, April, I got a full-time position with the DApp list. So the DApp list really focused on what they're really doing. You can think of them as like the Google Play Store of Web3, where they sort of list all of the apps and decentralized applications that exist in this space. So anything from finance, from gaming, from NFT, they sort of make those available, and you can go there and narrow down your search if you're curious about any piece of software, any piece of technology. So the DApp list, they do that. So I worked with DApp list for about a year and I think 5+ months, or a year and 7 months, can't remember for sure. And so during my time there, it was really focused on community type things. So I was hosting a ton of Twitter spaces. Discord workshops, coding workshops as well, but a lot of them were live. And, those were my responsibilities at the time at that place. Towards the tail end of my time there, they were pivoting from what they were doing to something a bit different. And when that was happening, my skill set, you could see, was no longer needed. So I was laid off from that place. And so the moment I was laid off from that place, this was late 2023. This was middle 2023, right? Got laid off from that place middle 2023. And then I think the timeline from that was June, July. So from June, July up until October, November, I didn't have any like position in Web3. I was just like grinding out and making so I doubled down on making content really, right? I was making a bunch of really technical videos on YouTube. I stumbled and dabbled into a bunch of things. I did stuff with AI. I built an AI bot. I made a tutorial on how to, work with OpenAI's OpenAI, and I think it's LangChain, on how to build a simple PDF reader with that. I made those videos. They did pretty well. And basically, I just kept putting in the reps, and I made a ton of those. So between July to October, November of 2023. And by November 2023, a friend reached out to me needing support. So that's how I got into the Rally Protocol side of things. And I worked with Rally Protocol for about 3 months. And while that contract was getting to its tail end, that was when when the hiring manager at Fleek reached out to me. And, we started picking up conversation of joining Fleek. At the same time, also a bunch of folks, there were a bunch of other companies that were interested in having a conversation of getting me on board and everything in between. So a lot of it really boiled down to, and again, during that time, I was consistently improving on my content style, my production style, my material, and ensuring that I am putting out the highest possible quality, that could possibly exist as I was capable of. And that I think, would be on par with anybody else's who is doing something like this. And so that was at the core of what drove my work ethic, right? I wanted to just put out really high quality stuff. So I kept doing that, and then again, Riley happened in November, and by February, started conversations about Fleek. I think actually January. By January, February, started conversations about Fleek, and I joined Fleek second week of March, and I have been Fleek since then up until now, doing developer advocacy, developer relations work, and that's the core of it, amongst all of the other videos I make on my personal brand on Twitter. But yes, that has been my journey in terms of timelines and everything in between.
Okay, that's amazing. I have 2 specific questions related to the things that you say. So from July to October, you didn't have a job and you were just making videos like for fun, right? What kind of was the main motivation, or what incentivized you to make just videos, and which type of videos were you making? Do you think these videos that you make when you didn't have a job, without any kind of incentive, help you to get where you are right now?
Yeah, so what was the incentive? So the incentive really was and I'll tell you, the reason I made the videos at the time was to be so good, so valuable, so apparent that I wouldn't need to apply for a job, right? That was all I had in my head. While I was making these videos, I was applying for roles and I was getting rejected, right? I was applying for a bunch of roles. I'll get interviews, but nothing really worked out. So what I wanted to do then was to have proof of work. I was done with the whole interview type thing, because it really wasn't forthcoming. So I wanted to have proof of work that if your company or your role needs something similar to what I make, that I'm the guy to reach out to, right? And so that was the incentive. That was my mission going in. And I doubled down on making those. And I was doing that. So the other question is, do I think that the videos I made, got me to where I am 100%? I think 100%. They definitely did. Because I was pretty intentional with the type of materials I wanted to make. A handful of things I must have stumbled upon and I got lucky. but like I knew I wanted to make really good stuff, and that was it. I didn't have like a very detailed outline of, okay, I want to do this, I want to do that, but I knew at the core of it, like everything that drove my production was like I wanted to make really good technical dev ed tutorials or materials for developers, and like that was it. So yes, I think it played a huge role in getting me to where to getting me recognized before Flick reached out. And then, even more so now, since I now, have like a brand type thing where I just make content. So that also has like, gotten a much more, giving me a bit more visibility across the board.
Okay, that's really interesting to know, because I have been always encouraging the ambassadors to make videos, because I think that videos are powerful, because you can build your personal brand. People kind of start kind of knowing you, like looking at your face, but your name, your voice, your coding style or whatever, and at some point people will just know you, and then you will not struggle having jobs, or you will not get rejected. So yeah, that's a really good point that you mentioned that. And then the other thing that I wanted to ask you, you mentioned that you were doing coding workshops. What is your tech stack, and how good would you consider yourself as a developer? Or like, for example, myself, I wouldn't consider myself as a pro developer. I know the basics, and then I just learn what I need to learn to be able to teach something. But it's not that I'm like a super expert developer. I know JavaScript and Solidity, but yeah, how like pro will you consider yourself as a developer, and what is your stack?
Yeah, good point. But before I get into that question, there was something you said about like, encouraging the ambassadors to make content. I know how difficult, it could be to make content. And I'm saying this because I relate with about 90% of everyone in this room are Nigerians, we're Africans. I understand what it's like to put yourself out there, and, the scrutiny that may come with that. If you watch some of my earlier videos that I made, they were trash, right? Like I've been making, I think one as well. I was making videos and they were trash. I go back and I look at it and I'm like, wow, fucking hell, I can't believe like I had to do this, right? But I made them and I put them out there. I thought they were cool. I mean, I honestly I didn't think they were cool. I didn't care. I was just putting in the reps. So it was like I'd rather have this and then build on top of that than to not have anything. So I could not make those stuff. So I completely know how difficult it can be, because we're struggling with power, we're struggling with good audio, there are generator sounds all over the place, we're struggling with a bunch of shit. So I understand. I can't. Okay, I have the thing there somewhere. Give me a second. Let me just get this. Just give me a second.
Yeah, it's fine. I have a question for you guys. Like, do you hear Jinka sometimes with the bad microphone, or it's just only me? I don't like kind of echo or something, or it's just me?
Yeah, it happens occasionally.
Oh, okay. Yeah, so maybe, yeah, I will tell him.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So there are some audio issues. Give me a
Yeah,
sec. Let me see if I can fix that. I should
maybe
have an
the
external mic here
the,
somewhere.
the headphones are getting discharged or something on charge.
Yeah, 1 second. I should fix that real quick. Okay, so I'm just going to switch my mic to.
Yeah.
All right. Swap the microphone. Is this any better?
Oh yeah.
Is
Yeah,
it?
that's perfect.
Okay. Oh, I think it's
Yeah,
actually
yeah.
my internet. I think it's my internet. Give me a sec. Let me see if I can switch that. Hold on. Can everyone hear me, see me
Yeah.
right now?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so I'll just like work with this in the meantime. Okay, so I'm guessing this is a bit better than what we had going on.
Yeah, yeah, that's better. It was, I mean, it was good, but sometimes it was just like a little kind of blurry audio. I don't know, kind of weird thing. But yeah, now it's perfect.
Okay, 1 sec. Let me take this off. So I'll just have this. Testing 1 2. Testing 1 2. All right, cool. Okay, cool. So, yeah, I wanted to show. So this was like one of the ring lights I had in front of my desk, in front of me. This was all I had for some of those videos. And I'll just place it right like in front of me, behind my laptop, and I then would use the display. So I had an external monitor. I have like a white background there, so that added more light to my face. So when you see those videos, it seemed bright because it seemed like I had like a really huge light or whatever. But I was just working with this tiny thing, and then like the external monitor was in front of me, and then it was like in a white background. So just those illuminated my face a bit more. I mean, right now I have a bit more sophisticated setup. I have a huge softbox. I have this microphone or whatever. So like point in case, I really started really eagerly. And I started with a bunch of shit. Can everyone hear me?
Yeah. Can hear you.
Okay, cool. And I started with a bunch of like I was scrappy, to be honest. I just wanted to make it work. And then progressively, when I started getting opportunities, the most important thing, and I think this is one of the other things, was like when I started getting opportunities and I started getting, capital, like the next things I started doing was to purchase gears. Like I just started getting gears that would get me really high quality production. I got like the Sony ZV-E10. This is what I shoot all of my videos in or with. I bought again, the Samsung, not the Shure SMB7 or SM7B microphone. Also this like lapel microphone. Basically, I've spent a shit ton of money on gear because I knew that I needed to get the message across without saying anything. And the way to do that was to just have really sick quality. Cost me a bit of money, but like it was an investment. And safe to say that it's paid off really, really well. So yes, again, this is just me, a quick segue before answering Santiago's question. It's tough, it's difficult, start somewhere and try to work your way up into something that is going to stand the test of time. And yeah, you never really know. You just keep showing up and something will actually hit at some point. But yeah, that's like some form of encouragement if anyone may need that. Like just if it's article, if it's writing, it doesn't necessarily need to be video. If it's like if you're really, really heavy on technical writing, you want to figure out a way to get yourself in front of people. Now, it's much easier with video. So that's the thing, right? It's a bit easier to get yourself in front of people with video. With writing, you might want to be more strategic. And if that's something you're doing, if you're a developer, you basically want to think outside of the box and you want to go the extra mile and sort of figure out what works for you. So that's that. Your question, I think I definitely have forgotten what your question was.
Oh yeah, the other one was about the coding stack. But wait, let's take now that we are some people here, let's take a selfie here. Let's take a screenshot. Can you guys turn on the camera? Aleppo, Red One, Ayo, Moses, Rohan, are you there? Okay, nice to see some faces. We have two guys new today. Okay, nice to see new faces. Rohan and Moses are new today. Nice to meet you guys. Okay, let's take the screenshot. I will count to 3. Let me just show the Web3JS. Okay, smile. 1, 2, 3. Okay, let me just. Oh, okay. I think this one, the first one, that everyone was smiling at the same time. You want to do it again? Yeah, no, that was.
I know. I was asking.
Yeah,
that's good. I'm good.
No, yeah, that's pretty good. Yeah, actually, it was good. It was perfect. Yeah. So yeah, the other question was about if you want, some of you guys can turn off the camera now. The other question was about the coding stack that I was telling you that in my case, I know like Solidity and JavaScript, but not as a senior, but good enough to be able to teach whatever that I need to teach in Solidity or JavaScript. So I wanted to know the same in your perspective, how pro you are in development, or how good you need to be able to be a successful DevRel or content creator.
Yeah, no, I mean, so myself, I'm somewhere in the mid-level. Not a senior dev for sure. My stack is strictly JavaScript, React. I have dabbled with Solidity, but I wouldn't consider myself a mid-level Solidity engineer at all. Still very junior with Solidity. So I've just like focused on my strength and like opportunities or whatever, which is heavy on the JavaScript, React, TypeScript side of things, and doubling down on that. Obviously, again, at the core of it, with like developer relations, is to be the ability to pick up any piece of technology and build with it. And so that is still going to be a thing. So regardless of your personal stack, if you need to write something novel, that the programming language isn't particularly all over the place, and you need to learn, it's still going to, you're going to go all the way back to a junior level dev. But what you would find useful will be the fact that you have relatively strong foundation of actually engineering experience, and you're able to do that. So I'm mid-level. Stack is heavy on JavaScript. Not a lot of Solidity, but enough to get by. If I need to write Solidity, I will write Solidity, that's for sure. And started learning Rust. I haven't taken that as seriously as I should. So, there is that. But that's pretty much it. So that's right. So back to the question of what level do you need to be like with DevRel? I think you just take up the attitude of like, I'm ready to do whatever I have to do to get this done. And like once you have that, some days are going to be easier than others, and some days are going to be really crazy. But you have to you're just going to have to show up and do what you can. So Alejandro has his hand up. Do you want to take that? Is that good?
Perfect. Yeah. Feel free to ask questions, Alejo.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, I have a question. Really, it's a specific question about that process. I don't know if it's possible with Web3.js or in general, but maybe you have tested it before. The idea is I would like to do something very specific about, I don't know if it's possible for example, you are user A. User A can sign a message, a specific message with certain characteristics, and then have other user. We can say, for example, user B. User B can be me. User A can be a user that is connected in a front end or in other place. The user A sign the message with a private key. User B take this message and send the transaction to the blockchain, and the user B has to pay the gas. The idea is I try to do anything that like gasless, and what you don't have, user A doesn't have to pay the gas. It can say, for example, USDT or USDC in Ethereum mainnet, in Avalanche, in whatever network, but they don't have to pay the gas. They just sign a specific message, and other users pay the gas using the private key and the information related with the user A. I don't know if it is possible. Maybe have you listened anything about it? If no, it doesn't have problem. The idea is to know maybe anyone know about this topic. I think that is interesting, and I would like to try to do it, but I don't know if it is possible. I have find anything related, but it's use the transaction and send the transaction by the same user that send the transaction, send the transaction. Maybe the idea is to separate it in order to have different users that interact with the different things. One user send a message with information related with the transaction, another user take this information and send to mempool. Is it possible?
I think I got the question. Maybe let me just add something here. I don't know. Yeah, you mean to do off-chain signing, and then another user can take this transaction and submit it to the blockchain, right?
Yeah, right. Yeah,
something like that. I was doing, when I was starting learning Solidity, one of the projects was to make a whitelist for an NFT project. So what I was doing is I was the owner of the NFT project, and then I was signing things for users. And then what happened is that these users that were like whitelisted in the NFT come with my signature that I signed off-chain, and then they come to the smart contract, and they were able to mint their NFT because I signed off-chain. And I never pay anything. I just sign off-chain, they take my signature, and they submit this in the smart contract, and they were able to mint the NFT. But something that I'm just thinking about your idea here is that when you sign something, I think you need to sign something, I forgot how is that called, with the Ethereum something. So every signature is different in every chain. So I don't know how that will work, like cross-chain. But yeah, that's my little 2 cents there. I don't know if you have something that you want to add, Dinka, here.
Not necessarily, but a lot of what he's saying is centered on like account abstraction, some level of abstracting away gas fee payments, but like it's very low level. The way you're thinking about it, and obviously that's a lot of what it is. Near protocol does account abstraction pretty well. Actually, I think it's chain abstraction pretty well. But what you said, based off of how you've described it, is person A is signing a transaction, but person B is paying for said transaction, right?
Yeah.
Right? Yeah, it's some form of account abstraction. I don't know for sure if we can do that with Web3.js because I haven't gotten really deep into the stack to know if it's possible. I suppose the question, well, not the question, the research might be focused heavy on like figuring out relayers, GSN relayers. So what they do is you build an app on top of, because this was, so Rally Protocol, they're building like a mobile app account abstraction thing, right? So, and they use it, they're heavy on like relayers, GSN relayers. So relayers are the entity that handles the processing of transactions, all right? So me as a dApp developer, I'm going to build my entire infrastructure and then I have relayers. So when you as a user use my dApp and you sign up and you create an account and you initiate a transaction, the transaction is sent to the relayer, all right? And the relayer runs the transaction if it means to send a token or to mint an NFT. It does all of that and then it sends the result back to you as the user. So if I can find the open GSN relayers, if I can find that, I'll just like, you know, send you the doc, and I think that may like answer your questions in terms of how to handle. So I just put that in the chat. This was something I was exposed to when I was working with the Rally protocol. Actually, I think it's Open Zeppelin. Yeah, gas station. Yeah. So you may just want to play with this and see if it's helpful. But I think it may into the right direction of what you're trying to get answered. My network is being pretty interesting right now.
Oh yeah, no, it's actually
can everyone
fine.
hear me?
You're a little bit blurry, but we hear you everything 100%. So don't worry about that. Alejo, you know, I actually wanted to add something here. I actually did something with Alex for a hackathon that we participated in Estonia like 3 months ago. And what you can do is you can sign off-chain with a private key using the sign transaction, like web3.eth.sign transaction. And then you get the raw signature. And then with this raw signature, you can use the send transaction, and then you send this raw signature with any other account, and then this account that is sending the transaction will pay the fees.
Yeah, this is the idea. I would like to know, but I don't know if it is possible. Maybe I have
It
tried
is.
with other things, but I don't know if it's possible. Yeah, generate the raw and send by other person.
Yeah, you can do it. Just use it, sign transaction, web3.eth sign transaction, and then send transaction. And then with the one that you send it is the one that is paying for the fees.
Yeah, because the idea is user wallets, a normal wallet, for example, MetaMask, Core Wallet, Trust Wallet, the normal wallet, no, it doesn't an account abstraction with a smart contract. And the idea is use or interact with a smart contract that is deployed right now, like USDT, USDC, and use the normal infrastructure that exists right now, but with the account abstraction using the specific library that can be used. But yeah, it's interesting. I tried it.
Perfect.
Thank you.
Amazing. Yeah, thank you, Inka, as well for the resources that you shared. So let me go back here to the list of questions. Okay, I have 2 questions that can be asked in one. What does a typical day look like for you as a DevRel at Flick? And then what skills or experiences you think were the most crucial in helping you land your role at Flick?
Yeah, sure. What a daily occurrence looks like. What it looks like. So Flick, we're building a bunch of things. One of them is you can think of the platform like a Vercel for Web3, right? So we're building that, which is the Flick XYZ platform. And we're also building like a network where we're going to be hosting an edge optimized network, geolocated edge optimized network, basically being able to host servers. And as opposed to, so when you ping a URL or you ping a website, it takes you all the way to wherever the server is hosted. But recently, most platforms, they have servers located in different places, so you are able to reach the website as quickly as possible without a bunch of load time. So with Fleek, we're building like a decentralized geolocated edge network where there will be nodes at different points in different parts of the world, and every single one of those nodes has like a cat of every website that is hosted on Fleek. So then I can ping whatever website I need to ping, and because the node is closest to me somewhere here in Africa, I'm able to, receive it quickly. If I'm in Europe, the closest node to me in Europe is the node that will serve me that file, and if I'm in the US, and so on and so forth. So what that looks like, what that means is we're creating a bunch of materials to get this point across to folks, right? Like we're creating a bunch of materials to, first off, we're making content about the low-level technology, right? So these are for, technical nerds who want to like figure out how the technology works, because fundamentally it's very open source. So we're making materials for low-level technology for people to consume. And then on the platform side of things, we're showing you how you can host a website on Fleek, and you don't need Vercel, right? Well, no, you don't need you as an alternative to Vercel, because Vercel is getting expensive. A bunch of things are happening, and it isn't decentralized. So Fleek is decentralized, and all of your files are hosted on IPFS, right? So it is basically just a decentralized hosting service, and you also get storage and all of that. So more recently, I made a tutorial showing you how to like build an on-chain Dropbox. Basically, you're using the Fleek storage to store all of your files in a decentralized file storage system like IPFS. So what's happening is the Fleek SDK speaks to Fleek storage, and it stores your file on IPFS, right? So Dropbox is Dropbox. Dropbox is so very centralized. But if you use Fleek storage and IPFS, the files are yours and they're decentralized, and it's not going anywhere anytime soon. So every day-to-day activities look like research, learn the tech, research, write, produce, write, review, and produce, right? If it's a week that we need to have a technical written guide out, it's a bunch of research, it's a bunch of refining the material, obviously working with the engineering team to be sure that we're getting the terms right. If we have any bugs, we're like, yo, this isn't working, we need to figure out why this isn't working. And between different calls with the tech team. And then we finally work on the material and get that out published. If it's a video, again, figure out what the content is about, reach out to the engineering team if there's anything I'm unclear or unsure of, and make that available. Yeah, so basically that is it. We built something called Fleek Functions, which is basically being able to compile down JavaScript code to a function where you can run on the Fleek network, right? So as opposed to writing your full backend and having it hosted on, say, DigitalOcean, you can write your entire backend with your API endpoints, and you compile that into bundled JavaScript file, and you send that to the network, and it is hosted as a URL. So every single API call is like x.com/login/sign up and all of that. So those are going to be your API endpoints. And Fleek functions are cool because they only take effect when the function is called, right? Anything other than that, it is dormant, nothing is happening. And that is the same thing for all of the endpoints that is hosted on the Fleek function. So we're making guides, tutorials, content to ensure that this devs and enthusiasts who may be building on Fleek sort of understand what the technology is about, and we're able to answer whatever questions might be brought up. So that's one of what a typical week would look like: is research, write, review, and get it published.
Okay, yeah, that sounds like a little bit hectic, a lot of things. But yeah, mainly content creation and developer success. I wanted to add something. I don't, Essay, you wanna say something?
I actually had a question. When you said something concerning decentralized hosting, so is it with connect to map your hosted websites your ENS domain. Would that be
Ooh.
possible?
Yes. Oh yeah, 100%.
Wait,
It's
can I
possible. I made it.
here?
Okay, yeah, sure, sure.
I want to say something because that's specifically what I did with Flick. I know Flick since 1.5 years ago because when I was building my portfolio, we always make dApps and we always have these dApps in local hosts, right? But then I wanted to be able to deploy these dApps somewhere to show to my interviewer, like, hey, look at this link and you can connect your wallet, you can send a transaction, you can mint the token, and that's my dApp, right? So I wanted to do that. That's why I'm including this in the Web3 JS Africa tour because it's so useful, but people don't know about that. So you make your React app, you go to Flick, and Flick deploys this dApp into IPFS, and now your dApp is live, and then you can share the link to people. And that's how I kind of know Flick since 1.5 years ago, almost 2 years ago, because I was using that for the IPFS centralized storage. But yeah, now you can add on top of that. Yeah, thank you, Flick.
Yeah, you're welcome. I think yes, you can link your ENS domain. I did make I made a video and we have a written guide. Okay, I don't know if we have a written guide. I think it's more of a video on how to do that. So basically, if you visit my ENS, which is like geniusyinka.eth.limo, it'll take you to my personal portfolio like website. So the website is also hosted on Fleek. And then my ens.limo is going to redirect you to my personal website. So basically, if you have an ENS domain name, so like a traditional domain TLD, because I also have yinka.lol, and it links to my personal portfolio, and my ENS as well also links to my personal portfolio as well. So yes, you can definitely do that if that answers the question. Okay. Yeah, let me just see if I can find the video and have that sent to you.
Amazing. Thank you, Yinka. Okay, so I have some more questions here. How did you build your network and connections in the Web3 community, especially as someone from Africa?
Yeah, that's a pretty good question. One of the things that I think was interesting for me is, again, and I had alluded to this early, is so I just left the video link in the chat essay if you want to take a look. Was that there are a bunch of challenges you're facing already as an African. Sorry, let me just take a look. With Vercel, you can create pipelines for free. Yeah. Okay, so just going back to my point. How did I build my network? Okay, so first off, I just dove in, I went in and I was just doing stuff, right? I got into the space and I was just doing stuff. One of the things that really helped though was, so a bunch of things helped. One was joining the Developer DAO Academy, or not Academy, DAO. And two was making high quality work, period. I think because I'm not a very social person. I wouldn't consider myself the most social person. I'm not. And so what I had to rely on was the quality of my work. That's all. Because I really sucked at random, oh, hey, let's hop on a coffee call and just have a chat. I know someone who did that, and because based off of that conversation, they got hired, right? I rarely am able to do all of those things. So what I had to double down on was insane quality of work. So what helped me was I just made really good stuff, or made stuff that I thought was really good, to the point where you kind of need to be maybe blind or maybe a little bit racist to not pay attention, right? I'm just being dead honest. If you're objective about work, you know that, oh yeah, this is good stuff, right? And that's all that was important to me. So I focused on that, and the connection sort of came, right, if you will. Obviously, I followed a few people, I reached out to a few people, but my strength isn't in networking. My strength was and is in building, making good work, and making high quality stuff, and making people see that, or sitting back and allowing people to see that, right? So all of the challenges that my African, my Nigerian African brothers face, I have faced them, and I've had to overcome a bunch of them. I just had to rely on the fact that somehow I can do something that I think is of, global standard, and people will respond to that. Like they had no choice but to respond to that. And that was it. So like blood, sweat, and tears, a lot of nights that I'm trying to figure out what's going to work, spending hours making these videos or whatever. And so those were the things that I think came together to sort of get me to like the point where I am, where it seems like I'm able to get, global opportunities, or like be at this point where I'm at in my career. I think it's just focused on doing high quality work. And, again, the Web3 space is already pretty inclusive. So like, if you do really, really, really good work, it's pretty difficult to be ignored. In a long enough time frame, it's pretty difficult to be ignored. And so, yeah, that's kind of like how I approach that. And I think that's how I'll respond to that.
Okay, that's amazing. Thank you, Inka. I have another question really similar to this as well. And is, if for African or other underrepresented groups looking to break into DevRel in Web3, what advice would you give them? I will say you just kind of mentioned high quality work, right? But is there something else besides that?
No, because so I'll just break down high quality work, right? So let's say you're making a coding tutorial. And when I say high quality, I don't mean 4K video. That's not like necessarily what I mean. So let's say you want to make a guide. So you head over to Web3.js's documentation and you're trying to build something. And you see that, oh, this is pretty good, but like, it took me a while to learn this. I need to simplify this so everybody else who uses this library, they're able to figure it out in 10 minutes. That is high quality work, because it's not easy to do a lot of that. So you take that concept that is very low level and you make it high level for folks to understand, and you produce a ton of examples, right? So like demo dApps, this is how you build this is how you use this to build this, and this is why this works. I think that is high quality work. So I don't really mean like, oh, 4K video quality, that's cool. But everything falls apart if the content, if the material isn't of high quality. And so if let's say, take any documentation, for example, you take the material, you're able to solve the problem of what can I build with this, and you make those available. If it's a technical written guide, same thing. If it's a video, same thing. If it is slideshows, if it's a workshop, it simply has to be taking a very low level concept and ensuring that you're able to pass that across to devs easily. If you're writing a documentation, it's the same thing. It's very low level. The devs, they've done a great job with like building complex technology. And your job is to take that and simplify it. But if I want to make it a bit more practical, what I'm hearing is, how do I break in? You need proof of work. Like the network is great, but there has to be some form of proof of work, right? That's going to be the way where you're able to get your foot in the door, amongst, these types of initiatives, being a part of the ambassador program, being a part of the Developer DAO Academy, you need proof of work. And by proof of work, obviously, you have to be a decent dev, or, pretty good, so you're able to actually solve technical problems. You need to then be able to, build a bunch of stuff. If you're building dApps, or I build this dApp with this library, this is how it works. You have to be very creative with the things you're building, the body of work you're presenting to potential employers. And that is, so when I say high quality work, I really mean it like high quality work, period. But like, if we're to distill it down, it's like, if you're writing a technical guide, it should be written really well. It should solve a problem, and it should be apparent that it's doing something actually useful. If it is a video, if it is a piece of a slide or a workshop, the material should be of high quality, and make that apparent. Put that out there, and just like, watch things happen. Again, put in the reps. You're going to need to apply for jobs. You're going to need to perhaps work for free with certain people to build like a network or whatever. But like, in the end, it's a thing of learning a piece of technology and making content, because a developer relations or developer advocate type thing is somewhat heavy on content, not as much, not entirely. Obviously, there's like, going to conferences and, building dApps and writing a ton of documentation where it isn't public facing, but it's more user experience. So even in the documentation you're building or you're writing, it should be of high quality. So when a dev is on the documentation page, they have everything they need to like build stuff with your company's tooling.
That was a really
Yeah, so
good
those are
one.
my thoughts.
I really like the point of high quality work doesn't mean high quality resources. You can still do high quality work with cheap resources or even no resources. So yeah, that's really good to mention. Are there any particular resources, communities, or platforms that you found helpful in your journey?
Yeah, the developer DAO helped, and YouTube, and crypto Twitter, which I think a lot of us are on here, which is like you're just paying attention to the landscape, paying attention to what everyone is saying. And one thing that also helps is like being able to catch a wave is also pretty important. The video I made that sort of took off with my 90-second series was catching the wave of the EIP season. Like it was a week when the EIP 733, I can't remember what it's called. Anyway, when that EIP thing was announced, that week, the weekend was when I made the video, and that just like took off. So it was a wave that I caught that just like took things to the next level. So being able to catch the wave and paying attention to what the ecosystem, the community and the ecosystem is saying is very important in setting yourself up for success. Because things move really fast and things are changing really, 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 really fast. So being able to hop in. Now again, it's it's also, it can borderline into like shiny object syndrome, where you're just jumping to and from things. That's not what I'm saying. Again, I already had video expertise. I'd already been making content. So hopping on the wave was taking my skill set and catching a trend and adding value, right? So I added value by making a piece of content that was easy for people to consume and answer whatever questions they may have as regarding EIP 4337. In your case, if you're a really good dev, what you can do for sure is like, again, the EIP thing, which is helping on account abstraction. If the code exists, you can build a quick demo app and just like demo that app on Twitter and just like let it go, right? So what you're doing is you're getting in on where the eyeballs, where the attention is, because a bunch of the stuff I've made, they've gone down in the weeds. Like no one is going back to watch them because it's gone, right? And that's just the way it is. So when you make a demo thing, especially if you're trying to break into, this is important if you're trying to break in, you need to be able to get eyes on you, right? You need to be able to get eyes on you. And where high quality work comes in is when the eyes are on you, the eyes stay on you because they know that, okay, this isn't a fluff, right? If the work isn't of high quality, again, which doesn't mean high resources, which doesn't mean pixel quality, it's the content, it's the deliverable, it's the material. If it is good enough, the eyes will stay on you. And that is, how I think I have like navigated the entire space. Getting on a trend, provide value that is of high quality, and sit back and let everything else work itself out. And so yeah, that is kind of like how I would respond to that.
Wow, that's a really interesting one. Now that you're talking about videos, I have a personal question. Which recommendations or resources would you tell us to have better videos? How do you make a video?
Right.
How do you start brainstorming the idea and recording and everything?
Okay, from top to bottom. Okay, so first off, I figure out what I'm curious about. What do I want to talk about? So back to the short EIP for, it's not EIP 4337, I can't remember. Let's say there's an EIP proposal, Ethereum Imperial proposal that is out, and I happen to be curious about said piece of technology. I will then research and put together a script. Very important to have a script. And very important to be sure that the information you're providing is accurate. So that's where research comes in. So when I have my script, I set up my setup to film. I mean, I have, like I said, I have the Sony camera here, but if you have a phone, because again, like I said, the first couple videos I made were crap. I shot them with my phone, right? You know, I just placed my phone somewhere here, you know, and I filmed them. So you don't necessarily, again, need high resources or a lot of resources to get this done. But the content, the material needs to be really good. Like if you go back, if you look at the very first video I made, not in terms of like my explained series, and you look at the last one I made, the production style is very different, right? The first one was scrappy, was fun. I needed to get it out. But right now I'm doing way more complex animations, way more complex motion graphics and stuff to further improve my deliverables so that when I'm talking about when I'm talking about an idea, it gets distilled in properly, right? So, but I started with very scrappy, you know, almost terrible production, but the content and the material was good enough that it seemed like a lot of people resonated with that. So, topic, figure out what you want to make a video about. If it's a Web3.js focused tutorial, get your script. If you're building a demo, build out a demo and like make the demo. If you want to, video quality or whatever isn't, you know, a huge deal, but if you're big on that, you could use your phone, or you could, you know, purchase a digital camera. And if you have none of those, your webcam works great, because in the end, the content, the material is going to be what keeps people. And when you've been able to build some form of capital, or you have, you know, something to work off of, you can upgrade to a phone or a digital camera if you want to take your content production to the next level as far as like pixel quality is concerned. So my typical flow is I get a topic, I research, I script, I film, I edit, I produce. That's it.
Okay, that sounds a lot of work, to be honest. When I was trying
It
to
is a
edit
lot of
video,
work.
that takes a lot, right? To cut all the little pieces, and yeah, that's a lot. It's
Yeah,
really good,
Santiago,
something that you
it's
mentioned.
a
Oh,
yes,
yeah,
please go
that
on.
you
Please
mentioned
go
about
on.
the graphics. The graphics is something really important because you are delivering content with the graphics. You get the people's eye in their eyes, right? With what you are saying, you get in the people in the ears, and then you just get stuck in their brains, right? Because you deliver the content in visually and also with what you say. So it's just amazing. Um, we have a question.
Yeah,
Oh
Essay
yeah,
had a hands up.
Redwan also just posed a question here. Yeah, if you
Okay.
want to, you go ahead, Ese. Go ahead, Ese, and then I will read Redwan's question.
Oh no, you already asked the question. Asking to ask about the use of AI, but I think you already asked the question.
All right. Okay. Have I been working with AI tools that really? No, I haven't used. The only AI tool I use is GPT for my script. That's it. But like production wise, everything is done by hand. Yeah, you know, AI is cool. I mean, yeah, production wise, everything is done by hand. And that's it. GPT helps with script, helps with research, helps with accuracy of helps with the story. Well, not the entirety of the storytelling, but like using the right words to convey the right message is very important. And I think that is the key with, like, you know, if I can call it a success so far, is like finding the right terms to get the point across is, you know, critical. And so I definitely use GPT to refine my use of word, my use of language, and be sure that I'm getting the right points across.
Great, that's great. Deepak.
Okay, that's a useful
Oh yeah,
resource. Thank you. I haven't,
yeah.
I don't know this, but I guess this would be
I always use
helpful. Thank
DeepL.
you.
DeepL is a really good translator. Instead of Google Translator, I always use DeepL. It's amazing. I don't know if DeepL also has any AI. DeepL, right?
Yeah,
I
yeah,
don't know.
it's completely AI. It's also like just do more than translation. You can do writing, you know.
Oh,
Like
okay.
you can ask some different tone to say academics, casual, business, and everything, and so it's gonna write in different tools. Also, like just I don't know if you every tools, you know, Mistral, Claude, ChatGPT, Llama, they all can instantly switch to any languages. So you can ask them to to translate anything, and they do it pretty well. You can compare, but they do it pretty well. And you can also ask, like them to work on style, to put some different structure and things like that. So I've been using a lot of DeepL recently, but I switched between DeepL, Claude, and ChatGPT. And I think,
Okay,
it's very
Yeah.
useful for non-native, English speakers. I think all of us around the table in
well,
here.
well, yeah, that's true.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
ChatGPT, for
Yeah.
example, is very useful because you can introduce what is the context and what is the public objective. For example, I can talk with friends. Okay, please translate it message from my friends, or please translate this message from a specifically documentation, or for other specific topic, for a tweet, for this specifically person that I know that have to read this message, and you can introduce it, and the message use technical words or maybe slow words or quotidian words. I don't know, maybe it depends on the context, and it's very, very, very powerful.
Yeah, 100%.
That's true. Yeah, send this message to my grandma, and then it will explain it as well. Okay, the last question, so we can call for today. Where do you see the future of Web3 in Africa, and what role do you think DevRels will play in the future as well?
Yeah, the future is pretty bright because Web3 is solving a bunch of problems in Africa, even more than I think people realize, especially with borderless payments, heavy on that. I bought an Amazon gift card a couple weeks ago, and I made use of Refill, and I was able to pay in crypto, and I got an Amazon gift card, and I was able to load up my Amazon wallet. Obviously this is like more crypto decentralized related solution than it is like more niche crypto Twitter Web3. But the point I'm trying to get across is a lot of the, okay, thank you for that. A lot of the financial problems that exist are being solved with Web3 in Africa. So I do think, things are being done, things are being built, and a lot more things will be built in the future. And where does DevRel for Web3 come in for Web3? Africa DevRels come in to solve all of this heavy, because let's say a tool like Scroll, for example, the Scroll ZK EVM, the Scroll rollup, I think it's more of a rollup than a ZK EVM. I keep mixing it up. But Scroll, and I, as an African DevRel, is curious about Scroll, and I build something fancy on top of Scroll, and I make a video explaining zero knowledge proofs on privacy, and I post the video or write the guide or whatever, and a random dev who is in Africa, who has also been researching zero knowledge, but doesn't quite have a lot to go off of, stumble upon that piece of material and like, oh wow, light bulb, right? So someone like me and my fellow Africans, we're bridging the gap between the global resources and the people that can work with them, right? Santiago, for example, you may not have as many African followers as I do, right? If I make a piece of content that is about Web3 JS and is solving a particular problem for African devs, I reach them closer than you might. And I'm saying might, I don't think that's the case. I'm just, making assumptions. Or better yet, you have way more European followers than I do, right? If you make a piece of content that is heavy on that ecosystem and that culture, you have a closer reach than I could ever have, right? And so I think DevRels have a closer reach to the local developers, and we're able to empower them to build really cool stuff across the board. And that is just like, I think, the role we play. So it's
right.
proximity.
Yeah, I do agree with you. In terms of the payments, I was just surprised the first time that I went to Kenya 5 years ago, and the way that they use the M-Pesa system. Do you know the M-Pesa? Have you heard about that?
Yeah, I've heard of it. I've heard
like
of it.
That payment system with your phone, with your mobile number, and then just right away you transfer the money. That was like, wow. I didn't even know crypto at that time, but that's basically crypto. That's how you can build that on blockchain, and that's just amazing. The way that everyone uses that in Kenya, everyone, like the little corner store or whatever, use that M-Pesa. So that's a really pretty nice thing to see. Okay, so I think that's everything for today. I really appreciate your time, Yinka. It was amazing to talk to you. I'm sure like
Likewise.
everyone learned a lot. I will see you in Ghana in a couple of weeks, which will be amazing. So yeah, I don't know if someone else wants to say something. Oh yeah, red one.
Yeah, well, thank you very much, Yinka and Santiago, for doing this. Is very cool. Also, I would say, Yinka, if you have any social where we can follow you, like some social media, please drop them in the chat so everyone can keep following the work that you're doing, and we can keep in touch.
Oh yeah, no, for sure. I will make a tweet and I will tag him in the tweet. Yeah.
Awesome.
So
Thank you
I have
very
my
much.
Twitter on there, which is like pretty much everything. Yes, see you in Lagos, SA. I will be there as well when I'm back from Ghana. 100%. Yeah, so that should be fun.
Amazing. Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much, guys, for coming today. See you next Saturday.
All righty, take care, everyone. Have a good day. Bye.
Bye.
Bye, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Bye, everyone.